All right, this is your boy W. Jones, Willie Jones. I really don't know what to call myself yet, but this is the Unreasonable Bias podcast. And here we are once again on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Me and my homeboy Douglas over here, who is unfortunately about to be wrong about everything he talks about. And I'm just here to ensure that he pulls a little truth out of himself on this Sunday.
I can't say wrong. I just have my bias, my personal opinion on how I feel about the world.
Well, okay. So we talk regularly, ladies and gentlemen. We're not just beautiful faces on your screen. We are actually best friends. And in a conversation, he made a very interesting comment. And I just want to get his perspective on it because, I mean, we've already established the fact that you were an absolute hater. But why will you not buy people's books?
I think that if you want to be rich, write a book about how to be rich. And people will buy your book and then make you rich. I think that should be what a get rich book, all it should say is, step one, write a book about being rich. Step two, sell said book. Step three, get rich. That's what it all should be.
Because step four, buy a new identity and move to the tropic islands.
Right, because I would think as an author of a get rich book, get rich quick book, or get rich soon, or 17 blessings to get you rich, I think my demographic is poor people. So it would do me a disservice if my whole niche and shenanigans is how to make you rich. It would do me a disservice if you actually were rich. No rich person ever walks out into the middle of a general public and says, you want to get rich? This is how you do it. Because that's not how the world works. The world doesn't work where a person gives you direct access to success if you are not in their personal circle. It just does not work like that. In my opinion, my unreasonable opinion, that's how I feel like the world works. Prime example. I'm a Jay-Z type figure where I want to be rich. I want everybody around me rich, right?
Okay, I was about to say, I was waiting to how you're going to draw those two comparisons.
Right. I am not going to be sitting here having lectures and dialogues with my people around me on how to get rich. If I can, going to put them in positions to get rich. I'm going to take them to the meetings. I'm going to have conversations with the people I know that says, oh, you need a brand ambassador? I got a guy for you. Or you need some ideas for a concept? I got a guy for you. Or you need something done? I got a guy for you. Or, hey, I'll put some money behind this partnership if y'all can grow. I got a guy for you. You put people in positions to win. And writing a book and having people read your book, in my humble opinion, is not putting people in position to win, because you are putting something out that is to be ingested by the masses. So you can't have any kind of real hardline conversations because you want this book to sell.
Okay. I actually agree with that. There's one flaw in it, though.
What's that?
I think this is the only flaw. And it's only because, my background in housing and being around moderately wealthy people. I won't call them rich. I will call them moderately wealthy. There are so many different avenues to success in any particular industry.
Right.
That if I told you what I did step by step, verbatim, still wouldn't be able to execute it because time is also part of it.
That is why I said I can't give you a lecture. I have to put you in the position.
Well, but a person might not be ready to be put in position.
Well, that ain't on me. That's not on me. I am, and I think that is another part of how wealth and how money transfers between generations, is because people of like mind apply like-minded principles. Rich families stay rich because they learned, understand, they learned the value of money, which I think that a lot of people who don't have money more idolize money than value money.
Okay.
So they look at money as a way for them to reach a goal, which is necessary in life. They get money, come from nothing, or come from a little bit, try to get themselves in a position to where, okay, I want a nice car. I want a nice house. I want to be able to afford nice things. And they're using their money for that progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their attention goes to gaining those things because that is their desire. That is what they, on a lower scale, that's what they idolize.
Okay.
While a person with money, that is not, those things are givens to them. A nice car is a given. A nice house is a given. Nice things are given.
Okay.
They're trying to build wealth.
Okay.
They're looking for investments. How can I invest? Not how can I invest? I got it already. I want to invest it. So the problem happens when I was reading this article about commentary about this woman saying in 1997 she worked at Wendy's. She made minimum wage. She said in 1997 a Wendy's number whatever 6 combo, I think that's what she said, number 6 cost $4.50 after tax. She said now minimum wage has not gone up that much, but a number 6 combo on Wendy's in 2020 costs $9.
Yeah.
So it's like this inverse thing of, I don't think America is for people to get rich in, not the masses. Not the masses. It's not for the masses. I think it's this weird, because I have this weird personal concept that there are the people who have money, the people who want money,
okay,
and then there is a small sliver of people who make it through, who, some of them on their own merit and some of them allowed. I think some people were allowed through. They were allowed to make it. So their success can be held as a beacon for other people to say, if you work hard enough, you'll be successful, which very well may or may not be true. It's the same thing like in employers. Employers put employee of the month, and they don't say the employee of the month, the person who's best balanced. They might not even say the person who is best at their job. They say the person who has worked the hardest. Jim comes in on the weekends. Jim works 50 hours. Jim puts the whole company above himself, and that's why he's successful. But in reality, you're just putting up this monument to say, if you other employees want to be successful, then you need to emulate Jim. And Jim does not have a good work balance. Jim's family is falling apart. Jim's kids hate him, but Jim is a linchpin. He is a linchpin at this Acme Inc. And you should want to be just like Jim. I think that all of it aligns, in my opinion. It all aligns. That
that's social engineering, man.
Yeah,
that's social engineering. And the weird thing about it is that everybody can be seen as villainous in this conversation. The person who's trying to get, so to speak, and the person who is engineering, because the person that's engineering, you're right, has set out a beacon to say, hey, this is how you get to the next level.
Right.
Now, you're going to get to that level, but you will never get to where I'm sitting.
Right.
Enjoy the life of, who'd you say, Jim?
Yeah,
enjoy Jim's life.
Right.
Fact, as soon as I run him to death and he has a heart attack on the clock, I'm going to deny him all of his medical benefits because he had some weird pre-existing condition that, of course, we didn't know about.
Right.
And I'm going to give you Jim's vest and hopes that you die on the clock the same way.
It's interesting because they give you momentum by passing you along such small increments of success that make you feel like you're getting ahead. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're not going to give you cash sums. They'll give you percent raise, 7 cents, 10 cents, 15. I mean, I very vividly remember working, my first couple of jobs in grocery were like cents on the dollar raises. And I was extraordinarily happy to make 25 cents. Yeah. But the thing is, you can't transcend doing that, right? So then they say that, because I very much look at the Trumpians, right?
Oh boy.
With this insurrection have happened, and with all this going on, the impeachment that's going on currently, all these things to me kind of line up to the same. That, I look at one of the commentary of the Trumpians or the insurrectionists or terrorists or whatever you want to call them, be honest. One of their comments was, they are taking our country. they're taking our jobs. But they never really have a they. It's more the
it's a
not us, it's them.
Anybody is not us, is them.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have a demographic, mostly white, uneducated, that is upset at an immigrant group who is also uneducated. But the reality is, the person who's giving, your job away, the person who is allowing the other person to take your job is a
Trump.
No, it's like
they're much higher up than the issue.
It's like your white manager. The white manager who you come in and idolize is the one that's giving away your job.
Nah.
Bro, how are illegals getting hired if not by management? They're not just walking up, they're not walking doing something, doing free.
They're not. But first and foremost, we got to look at two things. This whole immigrants taking my job thing is a very localized issue in very specific specific industries.
Well,
in very specific industries.
I can't say that because
I can.
I've seen, and not me personally, because I don't really care. I mean, everybody who come work, get your money. It's enough money to be gotten by everybody. If the top 1% have more money than the 99%, there's enough money out in this world to go get it. I believe that. But it's not just blue collar. It's also IT jobs.
Okay, so I knew. Okay, so you were going in that direction. So Silicon Valley.
Well, it's like Silicon Valley. It's also IT jobs. It's also your call center jobs
that are outsourced to a whole nother country. They're not taking your jobs here.
But not even that.
Outsourced.
But I think that once you start saying these words of them, you have to then start to identify, right? So you have to make your personal identity if you're trying to say them. So you have the identity, let's say, of me being in Maryland, a lot of Virginia, a lot of Maryland, a lot of blue collar workers in this area, in my area, a lot of blue collar workers. You go to these bars, there's a lot of trucks, there's a lot of blue collar workers, there's a lot of machinery in the back. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of bikers. They have Trump parades. They used to have them pretty regularly in my city. So once you start to identify that, you start to close yourself off. You start to segregate yourself into a block. And now your whole block is yelling them. Yeah. So the block I have more experience with is the blue collar block, right? Okay. And every blue collar block who I've heard personally be shouting at them was they are taking our jobs.
Well, they are lying. That is an excuse to do what they're doing. That's not true.
But no, but it's not. It's the truth is. What I'm saying. The truth is they're not taking your jobs. Someone is giving your job away.
Well, that's not even true. Like, dude, I'm telling you, this is so frustrating of a conversation to have, because not with you, but I'm saying in general, because there is so much misinformation about labor and the spread out, the localization of this particular issue. You know what industries are hit the hardest as far as immigrant workers? And if you want to dig down deeper into undocumented immigrants, we're talking about farming. We're talking about few factories.
But you're not talking about farming. You're talking about farm labor.
Farm labor. You're right. We're talking about farm labor, which is something you probably wouldn't want to, the people who are yelling them, you wouldn't want to do it anyway.
But here's the other problem. This is, let's just shoot it out is, Black farmers are a minority in double ways, double entendre. Black farmers are the minority, right?
Absolutely.
So that would make the majority
industry.
That would make the majority white farmers, just by mathematics, by data percentages, right? Yeah. So if a person who is a farm laborer is complaining about the effects of undocumented immigration,
gotcha.
The undocumented immigrants are only getting money from one source.
They're looking like Porter, but he hired me.
That is the
person that looks
thing
like
that I look at. That's the thing I look at. It's like it's not this person who took your job. It's not this person, because this person is just trying to get it like you trying to get it. It's the person above you who acts though he has your best interest in mind, and then picks up the undocumented worker and then sides with you. Once the undocumented worker gets caught or gets fired or gets deported,
or
he sides with you.
Or they just sit down at the bar listening to you complain. You're right, Jim. You're right. I hate so-and-so's too.
Jim, you're right. These immigrants are taking our jobs.
Jim.
But you're the foreman. I know, but it ain't me. It's people above me. Okay, who's above you? Well, it's above them. And the reality is,
my dad owns the company. My dad owns the company. So yeah. So you mean your dad? Nah.
No, not my dad. Somebody else. That's what I'm saying. Is like, so there is this. People don't look at it for the truth, just to say, all right, fam, cool. Nobody's taking your jobs. If anybody's taking your jobs, they're getting given away. Period. If the only way someone can take your job is if they have your skill set and your knowledge, and they came in and said, hey, my name is Juan. I'm better than Jim. I'll do the job at the same rate or cheaper, but let's say same rate, and I will up your productivity by 300%. Well, then boom. Now your job has got taken.
The other way I hear that argument from the same silo is around the conversation of affirmative action, which is also nonsense, or Prop 48 for admissions in college, also nonsense. And we're having this conversation because we're using rational logic. You know, we're using some logic and trying to base it on some truth.
Right.
You know, me, I look at labor statistics, you know, just, you know, by virtue of what I do for a living. It's just not true in any stretch. But I've heard people talk about affirmative action, and even the employers going, well, I feel like I'm forced to do X, Y, Z. Like, it just reminds me of that Dave Chappelle skit, and he was like, you mean like slavery? Forced? Like forced? Like that? And so what I think we're dealing with now is just, God, the most irrational, irrational beings who have siloed when they saw a black face in the highest office for 8 years, looked at themselves and said, we have to stop this progression because it's leading to a path of dominance. It has nothing to do with what they're yelling about, they, because that's not even the talking points they use when they talk to cameras. Like, they're not even a solidified group themselves. They have no idea. They're just mad. I'm mad because somebody said I either have to do something or I can't do something. I can't have these Confederate monuments, and I have to wear a mask. And here we are.
Well, if we go into your first point, saying about the anger and about the I have to hire someone, I think it goes a little bit deeper into like a sort of psychosis that certain demographics don't want to be uncomfortable.
Facts.
And if you make me do something against what I consider my will, then you're making me uncomfortable, and I don't want to be uncomfortable. It's the same thing that the reality is, they're not forcing you to hire someone black.
Right.
What they're saying is, hey, they're forcing you to consider someone black.
It's basically the Rooney Rule for the regular world.
But what I'm saying is because you aren't considering people black.
Right.
It's this thing of you're doing something detrimental. We're asking you to stop doing the detrimental thing.
And I think what frustrates me the most, though, is when you start talking about redlining and historical things that are well documented, acts of just utter insanity, acts of insanity that have been taken out against communities of color.
It's not insanity. It's the intent to remain powerful.
I mean, I got you, but my only thing is this: since when have y'all not been in power? Like, that's it. I just want to get that to the root. Y'all have always been in power.
No,
we went through all of this. Yes, they have. Watch this. No. We went through all of this last 4 years with this idiot. We end up with 2 old white men.
What I'm saying to you is,
on the final
you
battle,
have to identify the they, and skin is what keeps the masses under control. Skin color is what keeps the masses under control, right? The large 1% says we have the same skin color. We're on the same side. So don't fight me. Fight them. I'm looking out for you. Worry about them. Don't worry about what I'm doing. but I kind of feel like you're robbing me. Oh no, don't worry about that. I ain't robbing you. They are robbing you. So you keep your eyes on them and off me. Yeah, okay, cool. Why's your hand in my pocket then? No. Don't worry about what my hand is doing.
Ginger.
My hand. I want to get closer to you, so I get farther away from them.
Farther away.
So then so once you get past that layer, then you get into the layer of what it is more like economics, economic status, where it becomes the real they are the ones who are rich, and then it's against the ones who are poor. But because these people on the lower level have been so confused or so bamboozled,
go ahead.
They equate the they on the outside. So they say they're taking our jobs, but they don't ever say, yeah, but my boss gave away my job. And they're not going to boycott the boss. They're not going to their boss's house because they want money. And they feel like because the boss is their same color, that we are on the same page. It's us versus them. So that's why you get a bunch of people who storm the White House with no plan and no intent, because one of the 1%ers told them it was us against them. The relevant truth is, if you're telling me it's us against them, and them is the government, and you're the president, then you're part of the government. So it ain't us against them, it's us against you.
Dog, truer words have never been spoken. It is so infuriating to listen to people who should really have no interest in aligning themselves with a very obviously toxic individual, but their rationality behind it, or their rationale behind it, is very simple. He's protecting my interests, and I go, it couldn't be more opposite. If you wanted it, it could not be more opposite.
No, he has nothing to do with your interests.
He has nothing to do with it. He doesn't care about. The farming industry is one of the most heavily subsidized industries in the country. Heavily subsidized. When you say subsidy, what do you mean? It's coming from the government. But when you get farmers in an area or a controlled space, they start yelling out against the government. And I go, excuse me, is that a tax credit hanging out your back pocket? Is that a corn subsidy hanging out your overalls, Playboy?
But that's the one of the weird
ignorant self up.
Listen, but because they have fallen to the you versus them trap, they are willing to vote against their own best interest in order to stay unified.
I like the word psychosis.
No, but that's the one thing that Black America, in my biased opinion, it's one of the reasons why Black America can't get it together, because we can't ever get on the same page. For whatever reason, we can't get on the same page. We don't know what it looks like to be successful. Some people say integration. Well, let's be successful is if we have the same opportunities and same chairs and same seats and share the same spaces as the white people. And the other people say it's segregation. Yep. We want to have our own. We want to be away from everybody else. We want to be able to build wealth. We want our own thing. But the other thing is, like, there is this conflicting ideology, because if they did that to us, we would view it as racist.
Yeah, but that's not a conflict to me, because it would be racist. I mean, first of all, we're not galvanized. We're not unified.
No.
So there is no one trumpet playing one note. Like we don't have any voice. So that's one. We don't have any agency.
We have a voice, but what has happened? But what has happened is systematically, the strong Black voices historically have been martyred or quieted. So it's this thing of
Or getting
very
in handcuffs.
very reminiscent to like your Jim Crow mentalities or your slave treating, that we don't say don't be a leader, but we show you what has happened to your leaders. And we build monuments on what has happened to your leaders. And we don't 100% show you everything they did. We just show you that they were great men. They led a lot of people, and then they died young. They died young
without a gray hair in their head, most of them.
And the people who didn't die young and their mentees did not become as great as they did. Jesse Jackson is not as anywhere revered as Martin Luther King.
This is a really tough subject.
But what I'm saying is, there is a plan here.
Oh well, yeah. Okay, so
there is a plan, and I can understand why we're not galvanized. I can understand why we're not a movement. I get it.
I don't.
On a surface level, I get it. I feel like we should be, but I also understand that there is history of fear, there is history of trauma, there is intentional undereducation, there's intentional underfunding, there was intent. Now I think that the intent is not so much a conscious intent, but I think the intent to oppress is now just kind of built into the programming. Huh?
What you mean it's not a conscious intent?
I think it's just built into the programming now.
What? No, it's not. No.
Prove me wrong.
Here's why I say that. Because legislation can be changed.
It's not about legislation.
What cannot be changed, right? What cannot be changed is a systemic ideology. It can't be changed quickly enough to have effect in the same lifetime.
That's why I say it's now subconsciously built in. It's not a KKK jumping out and saying.
But it wasn't. But it's still intentional. Like, and this is that whole conversation about privilege. You are a product of privilege, whether or not you signed up for the privilege. You get me? If you look at like, let's just kind of parse this out.
Right.
So you look at Jesse Jackson's ascension. So, you look at how far he went. I think a lot of that is also personal, in just his rhetoric. And, we've seen Jesse kind of do some weird things. But I also think that we don't talk about one word that I want us to use way more that we just don't use, and that's institutionalized. The programming was put in at the onset. It doesn't have to be intentional now, or it doesn't have to be acted purposefully now, because the people that benefit from it benefit so much that if somebody tried to take that away, regardless of who they like or don't like, they would fight against it vehemently.
But that's why I say it's a subconscious thing. All right, so in the beginning, let's say Rockefeller. If every Rockefeller knew that in order to get rich, you got to go out there and stab somebody. So I got my money, I'm building my wealth. How I got my money is I went across the street and I stabbed a guy, and that built my wealth, right? Okay. So the first Rockefeller goes, stabs a person. His son comes up. Okay. Son takes what the money the daddy made and goes and stabs another person. That son,
effectively violent term, but sure.
Right. So, but after about 6 generations, people now are looking out for the Rockefellers.
Hey, maybe I
because they don't want to get stabbed. So instead of getting stabbed, they just start giving the Rockefellers money. And then their kids give the Rockefellers money. And
add a modern application to that.
So it's that thing of like, KKK comes out and says, we don't want black people around, right? Their kids say, I believe my father, I'm a senator, I don't want black people around, okay? Boom. Their kid comes in, I believe my dad, I'm in this workplace, I don't want black people around. And then eventually, there are no black people around. them.
Well,
and then their grandkids who may not be racist, but they grow up without black people around, and they develop their ideology in a bubble, and then their kids in a bubble. And then when it comes to when those kids are hiring, they don't want black people around. It's not even intentional. It's I grew up, I feel more comfortable around white people. I'm gonna bring white people in. So when they start, the ideology is not as their great granddaddy who fought in the Civil War. It's not that I hate you black people, but it's just more that I have grown up with a system of thinking that black people are irrelevant. Not that they're worse or best, they're just irrelevant. And I don't think about it because we don't think about it. I go to the country club, I don't see them. I go to my resort, I don't see them. They're irrelevant.
I would love to live in the world you see. We need to switch glasses because there is no way you can be raised with that. Like I'm using along the same line of logic.
Right.
It's not overt at that point, I think.
Right.
I think it went from being overt to covert. And I still think it's just as poisonous and malicious. Now, great-great-grandson doesn't have to work as hard as being overtly at being racist. But there's not as much force involved.
But to him,
it's a click of a button to delete an applicant or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not, we have to drive black people away from us. You know, we just keep.
That's the thing, because for the great grandson, it's not, in his opinion, his ideology is not racist. It's just a way that it is. So if you ever call them racist, I'm not racist.
Yeah, but that's not a racist person though.
But this is what I'm saying. If you have a white person who's spewing hate, you can attack him. You can stop that ideology. But if you have a person who has this subconscious thought process of you that you never know, he may never act on it, or he may be continually acting on it, and you just not know that this person is your enemy. He's your basketball coach. He's your NBA basketball coach. He has a thought process about black people.
Yeah.
So he treats you different. So he is a little bit more strict on you in curfew. He's a little bit more blah, blah, blah. He's a little bit more blah, blah, blah. And people say, oh, he's just being a good coach. The reality is he does not have your best interest in mind. He is just not overtly racist. How many of those NBA owners got called out because their racism flared up around women? It was fine as long as y'all were dribbling that basketball. But you know, like the Donald Sterling thing. As soon as his side thing took a picture with a black man, he felt embarrassed. The whole thing went out of control. So Donald Sterling's side piece took a picture with Magic Johnson.
Did I miss that whole thing? Was he mad about her taking a picture with Magic?
Yeah, because he told her, don't be out here taking pictures with.
No, I thought he was mad because she brought somebody to a game. Because the whole phone conversation, he's talking about don't bring them to the games, don't take pictures with them.
Don't take pictures with them.
Yeah, but that's one instant. But she brought.
No, what he was saying is, do not have them in your ecosystem.
Yeah, because they're the help. They're the labor.
But it's also you are a reflection of me.
Yes,
I don't have
the labor.
Listen, but I don't have them around, and you get my money, and you ain't gonna have them around. And this is what I mean by it gets baked in. It gets baked in.
No way to parse that Donald Sterling thing as him not being overtly racist. There's no way to parse.
I'm not saying it's not overtly racist, but what I'm saying is if she were to succumb to that thinking because of his money, she's not racist, but she knows which side her bread is buttered on. So she is going to behave in a way that is going to resemble racism.
I would say she's racist.
You can't say that. She might love black people.
That is an oversimplification of the issue, but here's the problem. If I spend my time trying to unwind her psychosis or try to unwind her cognitive processes and why she thinks the way she does, everybody understands the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We all understand self-preservation. We all understand getting money. But here's the problem. You can get money, and we've talked about this before, by just getting on the internet. Now, you can also get money by hanging around this billionaire. You can do that because that's why you're probably on the internet in the first place. But you're racist if you go along with it, bro.
I don't think you're racist. I think you're complicit.
which is racism.
No, it's not. I think you're complicit. That's why the criminal system divides murder into so many different categories.
Yeah.
It's because you might get mad too because you were complicit.
You were aiding and abetting.
You saw him, you knew he was gonna murder, you didn't say nothing, you're complicit.
Yeah.
He killed somebody, you wouldn't help dispose the body, you're complicit.
So it's not called murder, but you are still liable, right?
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
It's not called racism per se, but you're still liable because the intent and the end result was the same.
But if you were to try to villainize that person and say this person is racist, then that person can pull out a history of decisions or a history of actions that says, oh no, I am not racist, and you call me out.
That's us being stupid as people. That's us being stupid as a population. And here's why I say that. Do you know how stupid I would have to be to listen to you stand there telling me that? Oh no, I just text 5 black guys. They just send me penis pics. No. I love the black.
Right.
I'm sorry. Did you say you love the black?
Right.
Like let me tell you. Okay, going back to this.
But we're okay.
Wait. The other side of the conversation you had earlier, I wanted to hit this point and we went on. Hold on, real quick. So when you said it's baked in and we don't want black people around us, we don't want black people around us, eventually you look up, there's not black people around you. So when that was going on, we'll call that KKK era, Birth of a Nation, whatever you want to call that era. All right. On the other side of that coin, though, black people were also having their own existence. And this is why I want us to come back to what we were, or at least galvanize in the same way, because we built towns, cities, entire metropolises that we had on our own, entire industry, well, not industries, but entire demographics of industries. We had it, but the problem has always been we're a minority. And I would say, just from a purely economic standpoint, there at 13%, 14% of the population, depends on how you want to cut it, biracial, whatever, whatever percentage of the population are, it's less than 15%. So if you're going to put a product out there, now we are ravenous consumers. We are ravenous consumers. Okay. So if you're putting a project out there, if you're putting a product out there that we can latch onto and try to get to your at least economic status, then we feel like we can do some things. And we may not need you as much, but we still need them. They still need us.
Well, so first it was a minority. Our cities got burned down.
Well, right. And so that was I was getting ready to circle back to that. When they screamed no black people around us, we went away from around them and they said, whoa. We meant for y'all to go over there and suffer. We didn't want y'all to go over there and prosper.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. So segregation for us has never been a problem. Burning our houses down, killing us, hanging us, and making it a picnic, that has been our problem historically. That's why we're institutionalized.
Well, because I always equated to this fear, right? And I was thinking about this one day several years ago, and I thought about
the gun line.
African lion is on the savannah, enjoying his life, doing what he wants to do. Cool. He gets trapped by poachers. He gets shipped to America. Somebody catches him. Somebody saves him. He ends up in a zoo, right?
Okay.
He is fine in that zoo, according to everybody else's opinion. They feed him. They keep him in a cage. They keep him locked up. They keep him safe from himself. They keep him healthy. 5 years goes. He's a good lion. Everything's fine. All of a sudden, the cage mechanism breaks. And the lion door swings open.
And he eats 2 people in the San Diego Zoo.
It won't even get that far. As soon as that cage mechanism is open and that lion takes one step towards actual freedom,
the gun line,
they are going to murder him.
The gun line.
And it's not because of anything he has done, because this lion has never shown aggression. It's not about what he has done.
It's what he will do.
It is the understanding of what has been done to him and how he could react. If I oppress you and I know I'm doing things wrong to you, and I'm pushing your face against the concrete, and I'm putting your head against the wall, and I'm
Putting
sick
your
of
neck, you're
dogs.
putting your knee in my neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
If I'm putting my knee on your neck, if I'm sicking these dogs on you, if I'm planting evidence, if I'm murdering you, if I am racially profiling you, if I'm doing all these things to you, my fear is that one day you are going to return the favor. Well,
So,
if you as a separate non-racial, just a being, a rational being, if you as a rational being were put in that situation, well then now you as a rational being have self-preservation on your mind. And I have to then quell all uprisings at their beginning because I do not want, I call it karma but karma's not really an American principle, but I'll call it karma. I don't want that smoke that I know I deserve. So in order for me not to get that smoke I know I deserve, I have to keep you oppressed. So this is what happens when certain black faces rise to power. They always want us to remember there is no benefit in you doing it by yourself. You need us, and we need you, and it's better if we work together. That is what they preach to us. While them will go away and be in a room with all white faces and make decisions and make suggestions, and there's no problem because it's baked in. It's baked in to them that this golf club, this country club, this swim club, this whatever meeting, this business room, this thing has historically been white, and we haven't had any problems. And there is no need of messing with history.
So now I'm glad you set that up because now I'm about to shoot your not buying books theory down like a pigeon flapping in the wind.
Right.
So this is the other problem. You mentioned the exclusivity of certain conversations.
Right.
You know, I went to 2 all-white universities. And so when I went to Lipscomb, I went to that school for that program for that reason. Because there are conversations happening that we're not privy to.
Right.
There's conversations going on about new technologies, new industries, new directives, new global initiatives that we know nothing about. And it's a cultural thing because we're so busy. And it's the same thing with this pandemic, by the way. I work in a low-income area. We are not concerned in the hood about COVID. It's not a thing that is by and large something to worry about because a stray bullet can take us.
No. We can't afford to be concerned.
No, yes, they can because we make it affordable, dude. No. See all that, bro. I'm there every day. I'm there every day. When somebody gives you mask, when somebody cleans up your areas, when somebody does all like when people make it available for you to at least take this particular measure, just putting on mask and having gloves, like that simple.
Yeah, but I don't think that's our problem. It's the fact that we are the middle class that has to go to work. It goes back to those coal mine workers. It goes back to the men doing asbestos. It goes back to lead painters. It goes back to all of these essential positions that just knew they could not afford to worry about protection. They had to worry about getting food on the plate. I'm going to this coal mine and I'm going to dig this coal.
Countdown to cancer.
And my granddaddy died, and my daddy died, and my uncle died, and I'm going to die. But the reality is, we had a roof over our head, and like the Mandalorians say, this is the way. So I don't think it's the fact that black people don't take it seriously. It's just we don't like my conversation in the beginning. We're trying to we can't afford to invest. So if I got money in the bank and COVID hits and my job shuts down and I can be straight for a while, I can be straight and not suffer, then now I can afford to quarantine. Now I can afford to not go over here and work as a waitress. And now I can afford to not, my behaviors change, my thought process change, how I position myself changes. Now I can be at home, and while I'm at home, somebody else is at home, and now we can pass information. And them saying, "Oh, you at home? Well, cool. I'm trying to work on this project." Woo, woo, woo. So there is opportunity when you have time to invest, but when you don't have time, time is a luxury that a large part of the population does not have. We running late, buddy. We got to shut it down.
Oh, okay.
We'll get back to this on the next podcast. This has been the Unreasonable Bias podcast.
Because I'm gonna bust them up on the next one.
All right, this has been your boy Doug.
This is your boy Will.
Peace.
Peace.